realize my brother Cosmo Cal is on live. I just seen it. What's good, fam? I just realized my boy Cosmo Cal is live. You may have to tune in over there, yo. The brother Cosmo Cal is live on his YouTube channel. I'm gonna see if I can share the link. I just realized he was on live, yo.
Who actually compiles a text with such a vast...
He going in. I just dropped the link for Cosmo Cal page. You know what? We may listen to him. Let's see. Let's see if I can goddamn hook him up.
Now, if this man, JBN, is the white devil cracker that the detractors make him out to be, why didn't he take credit for it? Y'all say he just looked back and made this up out of his mind. There's no way he could have made this information up. No way. And if you think it can be done, you not only do you got all the text of history behind you, right? Not only do you got all that, you even got Oahspe today. So if you think you cold, make up something better. We'll be waiting here forever for you niggas. Cause you not inspired. You not righteous. Huh? You are duped and indoctrinated. So if you think you can make up one better, if you think he made it up, and you think black is better, black is more powerful, black gets you closer to God, you make one up, nigga. Huh? You make one up. You can even use Oahspe.
Let me know if y'all can hear that.
Make up a better text. We'll be waiting here
Shalom
forever.
to the fam.
Because you can't do it, because he said he didn't do it. No man ever could. Right? Now imagine putting in a year worth of work. Not only a year worth of work, but a year worth of master work, which is what Oahspe is.
Peace to the fam.
Only to not take credit for it.
Let me know if y'all can hear Cosmo Cal. He live on his channel.
Think about it. Could you imagine? Think about it. Imagine Michael Jackson not taking credit for Beat It. Masterwork.
Create a gang.
Imagine Michael Jackson not taking credit for. Imagine him not taking credit for Billie Jean. Imagine him not taking credit for Bad. Masterwork. The papers seemed to pile up fast on the right side of the typewriter. As the days went by, I was doing more and more. At first, I was thinking, what am I writing about? He said, I'm writing all this stuff. It's coming down. I can't even read it. You don't know what's in it. My mind seemed blank, but I had never felt better in my life. I always locked my door after me, and it was locked when I came back. I noticed, though, that there was a blank paper over the pile I had finished and a paperweight on top of it. It was oblong in shape, and as I left the room the next morning, I took particular notice of how the paperweight lay on the stack of finished work. When I returned that evening, I wanted to see if it had been moved, but it had been not. But it had not. But to my surprise, my bed had been made. Everything had been dusted and cleaned. I said to myself, the spirits are certainly working hard around here.
Let me know if y'all can hear Cal P.
I heard a loud laugh, and the voice said, we are. We don't want you to worry about a thing. We are taking care of you, and no harm can come to you. Remember this. Every morning before sunrise until December 15th, 1881, John Ballou Newborough, JBN, wrote at his Shoals typewriter. Huh? Brand new. The first QWERTYs, the first Shoals typewriter with a QWERTY board came out in 1881. Let that sink in. He didn't know how to type. So how could he have authored this? He didn't. He say he didn't. The angels say they did. And he say the angels did. So the angels are the author of this text. He said at his Shoals typewriter at a speed physically almost impossible, considering the crudity of this first typewriter. And finally, the manuscript was complete. In 1882, the book was published. Newborough kept the very first copy off the press and presented the second copy to his friend Edwin Augustus Davis in appreciation for his assistance over the years. Remember, this is now a 12-year journey. It's been 12 years since they asked him to do a thing. They tested him. He got himself together. And now they came back. But going to prove the statements made by JBN, right? And the validity, and its validity as a primary source. Hear the words of one of the greatest faithists of our common era, Wing Anderson. Peace to the righteous gods. Peace to the brother Wing Anderson. Also, take notice of the date, 1936. For those aware of the timetables of prophecy, pay close attention to the Odic rate. Huh? You don't know what the Odic rate is? Your fault. Read Oahspe. He began to publish Oahspe during the period of etheric light, exactly 88 years into the Cosmine era, or 88 equals 2 generations of 33, totaling 66, plus 22, or 2 11-year-old cycles. So, in 1848, the beginning of the Cosmine era, plus 88 years is 1936, proving the timetables of prophecy are absolute. The original manuscript, it is said, this is Wing Anderson, was destroyed in a flood in El Paso, Texas, after it had been carefully checked against the 1891 edition by Andrew M. Howland. Listen, they try to throw Howland in here. Who aided Newborough in the work of revising the 1882 edition. Right? He helped him. He gave him money. Destroyed also were the paintings from the 1891 edition, reproduced in this photocopied edition. Howland
What you're listening to is Cal's P giving this explanation and breakdown of the authorship of the Oahspe. He's doing the version that he did in the debate because he had more to bring out. So that's what you're listening to right now.
Now listen, Newborough's daughter insists that the only differences in the two editions are a few typographical errors, which naturally reappear in this photocopied edition, which I have, which I'm showing to you on the screen right now. People say this ain't, they don't know this, this ain't from Oahspe. Yes, it is. Right in the back of it. Aside, now listen, look at Wing. Wing's smart. Now, aside from the incompatibility of those two statements, Wing said that don't even make sense. If this is the same 1882 copy, how could there be any typos in the 1891 copy? If it's a exact facsimile, Now, check Wing. Wing say, aside from the incompatibility of those two statements, Wing Anderson, who has diligently and faithfully published Oahspe since 1936, here it go, I told you, has stated that he has certain pages of the original manuscript of The Voice of Man. And he notes that they are perfectly typed. What? JBN couldn't type. But he said that the notes are perfectly typed. Whereas, listen, a letter written by Newborough on the original typewriter that Oahspe was written on is a curious example of inept typing ability. Newborough was unable to type a single line without error on his own. Now, again, I asked the question. With a work so wondrous and powerful, why didn't JBN take credit for it? I'll answer that question for you. Because he's telling the truth. He didn't author it. He compiled it. Right? But why did they choose JBN? Let's look at the book of Timetables, 13:2-3. Do not seek for the most learned or for the most prayerful to be members, but choose those who rank highest in assimilating to the Creator.
And she was into Rastafarian. So she was
You dig what I'm talking about? Do not seek for the most learned or the most prayerful to be members, but choose those who rank highest in assimilating to the Creator. Excuse me. And to their fellows. For these are the first to become gods and goddesses. Creator says, a strong man may do more good works than a weak one, and yet the latter may stand fairer in my sight. I open the way to the weak and to the strong, to the learned and the unlearned. Now listen, God said, in all these matters, whichever man or woman has put away self-desires for self's sake, serving the Father by laboring for others, is on the road to wisdom. Tell me when you find something demonic. For any man or woman who has put away self-desires for shaitan, self's sake, serving the Father, excuse me, serving the Father by laboring for others is on the road to wisdom. And if the records show, listen, if the records show a sufficient time for growth in such a man or woman that 10 years, remember from 1870 to 1881, you dig what I'm talking about? So if the records show a sufficient time for growth in such a man or woman through which these virtues become organic, then choose that person. But Jehovah, look, Book of Oahspe, 5:5-12, and then 5:14-17. Dig this. Why did they choose JBN? But Jehovah comprehended that was what was good for man, desiring him not to be bound down to the ancients, to the old books, but rather that man should be quickened to the ever-present light of God. For man had become like a drowning man, clinging to that which was taking him down under the water. So only by the destruction of the ancient records, listen, could man be persuaded to turn to that which is ever-present, even Creator. And the same condition has always come to all the ancient self-gods and men. For men fear to let go from that which is carrying them farther and farther away from their Creator. They scared to let go of that Bible. They terrified. They cowardly. They impotent. They've been duped and scared their whole life and told if they do anything out of the line, you going to hell forever. Right? For men fear to let go from that which is carrying them away farther and farther away from the Creator. They scared. This I also declare to you. The sum of revelation in each and every cycle has been to bring man nearer and nearer to the comprehension of the ever-present Creator. To make man know that Creator now is even as he was with the ancients. So man might ultimately have his understanding open so as to receive his own revelations, huh? Not just group revelations, his own revelations from his creator and from the angels of God, such being in fact the founding of his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven.
Shalom, shalom.
Listen, since then, direct inspiration shall come from the Father to all men. We don't need no goddamn book. But he gave you the book, he gave you Oahspe to reveal these things to you so you can learn that the book is inside you. Huh? Read the book inside you. Go outside and look at creation. How could you prove there was ever a creator if you're not looking and comparing him to his creation? Huh? Since then, direct inspiration shall come from the Father to all men. How do you hope to not be bound by the revelations of the prophets of old? Huh? The same creator now is, always was, and ever shall be. Huh? For if God, right, the Father, is ever the same, and you fulfill his requirements as the ancient prophet did, the same result shall happen to you as to them. Huh? To quicken man. You want to be Isaiah? Think about that. To quicken man, therefore, to enter into the living present, instead of leaving him as a follower of ancient light or old reservations, is the work of your God today. To quicken man, listen, to quicken man, therefore to enter into the living present now, instead of leaving him as a follower of the old revelations, the old ancient light, that old ass Bible, is the work of your God. Toward that end you shall join in wisdom and earnestness, regardless of self-sacrifice. Now, therefore, when the signs of the decadence in the old system manifest themselves, let me show you that decadence has manifested itself in your Bible, right? You can't pay the babies to go to church today. You can't give them money to go. They know something is wrong with the God. They know something is wrong with the preacher. They didn't dupe Granny for 7 years. She done given them money every Sunday for 70 years. But if her lights get cut off, Reverend Soft Shoe ain't there to pay no bill. Huh? She done gave these people money 100 years. Church don't help these people. Bible don't help these people. Proof is, where's the city of good Bible reading people? Where's the city of Israelites? Huh? Where's all peace and wonder and glory? Where is that? There ain't one. This is what we building now. This is what Oahspe come to reveal.
I see you. Peace, family.
Huh? The decadence is showing in the old system manifest itself. As for example, when those who are of good mind and sound judgment,
y'all see you.
Having been believers in the ancient doctrine,
I see you.
Right? In Revelations, my Israelite brothers and sisters, my Nazarene brothers and sisters, my Essene brothers and sisters, right? These people who are of good mind and sound judgment, and they was believers in the ancient doctrines of Revelations, but afterwards, right, after Oahspe, they turn away from them because the doctrines are impotent. You shall know in a truth that a new cycle is underway. What? Look at that. How the book was transmitted. This is the how of Oahspe. how the book was transmitted, how the information will be received, and how it's used. Book of Tay. Then Jehovah the Creator spoke, saying, to all men and women I gave two senses, corpor and es, or physicality and spirituality. In the time of Cephas, or which is now finished, or a time where things were enforced, religion was enforced, I allotted time for man to mature materially. But now, in the time of Cosmon has come, this new era, man shall mature spiritually. It is well that you believe towards men and angels. It's okay what he says. It's okay that you believe what they talking about, right? But it is better to develop yourself. You have desired to know the mysteries of my unseen world and the past histories of the earth. Behold, I will give you a new sense, suis, clairvoyance, clairaudience, which will fulfill your soul's desire. And with that new sense, you shall read the books in the libraries of heaven. Let's go a little further. Book of Knowledge 3:68 through 70. Cosmon said, Tay called the new sense suis. Creator said he gonna give you a new sense, right? Tay called the new sense suis because it is spirit seeing and spirit hearing. And Tay comprehended that things in proximity leave an impression on each other, which impression can be read by the suis sense. This is the Vortexian wave. Tay said, I will now cultivate this talent Jehovah has given me, for I perceive it lies closely to the spiritual worlds. Was it not for the cultivation of this sense that Samuel of old founded a college of prophecy? And did not Zarathustra do the same also? Creator spoke through Cosmon. Whoever pursues righteousness by this talent rise to receive not only the past, but the future also. But whoever turns suis down to the earth, i.e. into the concerns of flesh and worldly and selfish things, right, shall fall and not rise. When the Danai is upon the earth, when the new cycle changes, right, when Etherian light is upon the earth, I give suis or clairaudience, clairvoyance to as many as have risen in spirit above the flesh. So, yeah, they talking about the 1800s was a time of spiritualism. Well, that's why. Should we even praise a God or Lord when it is revealed only through Oahspe that all lords and gods are just one-time living man, no different than you and I in time to be? Let's look at the Book of Judgment, chapter 3, 6 through 10 and 16. And we gotta ask another question. Why are they so afraid of a book? Why are they just too lazy to read it for themselves? Because they have been indoctrinated into believing they have no heavy lifting to do. They've been indoctrinated into believing they have no heavy lifting to do for themselves. They want everything now. Don't it say in the twinkling of an eye? Huh? They wanted everything now. But look, Book of Judgment, right? 3, 6 through 10 and 16. First, I charge you that whoever says God, God calls in vain. Y'all praying to God, you calling in vain. Listen, this is true God speaking. I have not come to establish, but to abolish all gods, lords, and saviors among mortals. Yeshua too. He never asked for your praise. He told you to praise the Creator, the Father. He said, what I do, you can do. It's only one that's good. that what he say? Okay. Look what true God say. True God, this is true God. Who, by the way, never asked for your prayers. What would you need one of you, your prayers, one of you stinking ass niggas? You dirty, filthy, low down. He can't even stand by you. Your body spiritually stinks. Why would he want your praise? But look what true God said today. So that must ask the question, who is that guy in the Bible that's demanding your praise? If true God don't want it, never needed it, can't use it, who is that guy demanding your praise in the Bible? And if you don't praise him, you going to hell forever. Think about it. True God said, I have not come to establish, but to abolish all gods, lords, and saviors among mortals. For what is past is past. What is old to not is old. But from this time forward, whoever hears my word and the decree of my commandment and continues to make an idol of any name, except the Great Spirit, blasphemes against his creator. But whoever cries, but listen, because they smart, they comprehensive, listen, but whoever cries out in fullness of heart, saying God, God, meaning by saying God, the ever-present, the creator, is not a blasphemer from before me. And whoever calls on the name of any other man or angel, worshiping such as a god, is an idolater in my sight. Huh? But they've been indoctrinated. They believe they ain't got no heavy lift. They think all they got to do is die. You die with this understanding, you are a slave to the false gods. But look, this is why they afraid. This is why they don't want to read it. This is why they lazy. But they will not believe and turn away in stubbornness of heart. This is Book of Judgment, chapter 4 and 16. But they will not believe and will turn away in stubbornness of heart, even as you of the earth do. Huh? Saying, no, I will rise only by prayers and confessions. I want to be changed in an instant, in the twinkling of an eye, and rise and sit at the right hand of God. See, they don't think they got nothing to do, right? But look, let's go and head off into this. Should we even listen to the white boy, right? Should we even listen to JBN? No! First off, we shouldn't listen to anyone but our creator. But JBN admits these are not his words in the first place, but the words of the very creator himself. So why wouldn't you listen, or at least test the spirit of the book and discern it for yourself? The point is, your God can't save you. He is weak and utterly bound. Don't believe that a man is going to crack the sky with a loud booming voice, causing war and destruction, leaving only 144,000 people alive and bound in perpetual loop here on earth for over 1,000 years, commanding you to kill infants and children. That God claims to be the creator. But what we know is the creator created all, so that doesn't logically, doesn't that logically mean he will come to all? See, we know the creator created all, and all is all. So doesn't that,
that's right, Elijah.
Doesn't that logically mean he would come to all men? And a very serious question, right? Are the chosen of yesteryear, are the chosen of the old, are they still the chosen of the day? Right? Book of Judgment, chapter 3, 33 through 37. Let's clear it up. They shall not excuse themselves, nor escape my judgment by saying, oh, the true Brahmin, or the true Buddhist, or the true Christian, or the true Muhammadan or the true Israelite has not fallen. These who fell were those who did not embrace our doctrine in fullness of heart. Ain't that what they say right now today? Oh, you niggas, they doing what they doing, man. They gonna have to, hit the hellfire for them. Excommunication for you. They not real Israelites. Let me chew on this steak.
Me lamb.
But you a Nazarene. But you a Essene. But you a killer baby. Let that sink in. Don't they say these who fell off were those who did not embrace our doctrine or your Bible in fullness of heart? Huh? Now listen. Because my judgment is also against impotency. Huh? Creators say his judgment is against impotency. Right? They have tried their respective religions for hundreds and thousands of years. And they have not raised up one city of righteous people yet. Show me where this righteous Israelite camp is. Show me where this righteous city is. I will pack my whole shit up, my whole family, and I'll move there tonight.
Yes, man. Plenty things are
But
going
you know what? Like the Creator said, they have tried their respective religions for thousands and hundreds of years. And they have not raised up one city of righteous people yet. And for that reason, I have come to put these doctrines away and give them that which shall prove itself potent in all the world. That which I proclaim shall be proclaimed by the angels of the second resurrection to all nations and people. Not just one people. Right? My light is not to one people only, except to the righteous. This is why only certain people get it, because only certain people are righteous. The rest of y'all just religious. Right? My light is not to one people only, except to the righteous, who serve the Creator. Look how you serve the Creator. By doing good to all men. In my sight, the nations of the divisions of earth are as one people only, brothers and sisters. So don't worry about being chosen and choose your Creator. Right? With absolute proof, through primary source of the authorship, source, and compiler of Oahspe, it seems time to address the major issue that the opponents of Oahspe have, which is being the racial makeup of the compiler, JBN. They hating that all this light came through a white boy, right? But as for the revelations today, let's see what happens
Shalom, Kenneth.
to the people who don't let their racism, prejudices, and biases blind their judgment
Depending
and
on their
actually
lifestyle,
take
King.
time to read the book
Lion of Yah, depending on their lifestyle.
before they criticize it. Now, tell me, oh Israel, don't you want to get back into the ways of your Creator? Don't you want to get right back right with the Most High? Well, read. And I want you to pay close attention to what happens to the praisers of the lords and the gods. And we're not talking about ancient praisers of lords and gods. I'm talking about you niggas right now. This is prophecy that will have revelation in this time. Watch it. Watch. Pay attention to the 3 types of people mentioned and honestly ask yourself, which category do I fit in? Book of Judgment, chapter 2, 14 to 21. 2 conditions will manifest. Subjective spiritualists will affiliate with the world's people, being deniers of the ever-present person, and they will pursue earthly vocations for self's sake. But objective spiritualists, being those who live for the Spirit's sake, will be faithless. What they gonna be? They gonna be faithless. Believers in the ever-present person, Jehovah, the Creator, whom they will worship not only in words, but by abjuring self. We gonna abnegate self. And uniting themselves in brotherhoods. Create a gang.
Gang.
Huh? We gonna unite ourselves in brotherhoods. Why don't y'all look up and see, is a gang synonymous with a brotherhood? Are the Faithists any different than the police? Are the Crips any different than the police? They're all a brotherhood. It's just about what you're doing that proves if you're good or you're bad. Huh? They so worried about create a gang. You better be worried about create a gang. This is why you better be worried about it. Because those who live for the Spirit's sake will be faithless. Believers in the ever-present person, Creator, whom they will worship not only in words, but by abjuring self and uniting themselves in brotherhoods for the sake of doing good to others. These faithists, are the chosen people of the Father of this era, the Cosmon era, and they will become supreme. Hold on, let me back it up. You see the vortex behind me, right?
It's vibes.
These latter, the faithists, are the chosen people of the Father of the Cosmon era, and they will become supreme in all the world. That's you. Essene, that's you. Nazarene, that's you. Faithist, that's you. Otien, that's you. Vera, that's you. The sons of Iwata, huh? The sons of Po, sons of Chinese, sons of Capilia, that's you. You will become supreme in all the world. These three peoples, the world people, the believers, and the faithists. Now, the world people don't believe in the Creator. The believers, they believe in lords and gods and they believe in all type of stuff. And they'll kill you about it. And then there's the faithists. There's three different people. One who praise the Creator, one that'll praise lords and gods, and one is just do whatever you want to do. Now, these three people have existed in all ages of the world. Of all them, listen, only the faithists practices harmony and good works. Both of the others are resistants, quarrelers, warriors, disintegrators, and breakers down of all things. Take a good look at yourself. Your God
Ramsey, I see
is
you.
a resistant, a quarreler, a warrior, a disintegrator, and a breaker down of all things, and so are you. But look, you got the same actions as the people who are atheists. Many times the people who are atheists are better than the people who praise the lords and the gods, because they do good naturally, not because they think some God is telling them to do it and scaring them. Many times they're higher raised than you and they don't even believe in the Creator. But they don't war. Take a look at yourself. Yet the faithists, having faith in the all person, shall ultimately possess the whole earth and make it a paradise of peace and love. As the first is bound in the flesh and the second is bound by the hating spirits, so is the faithist bound to Creator, which is emancipation. They're always asking me how my flow so cold, how I stand so bold with this. Because Creator is emancipation. He is liberty. As the second, right, can commune with the spirits of the first resurrection, so can the faithless commune with the Father through the second resurrection. We got a direct line. Y'all got to get it through roundabout second hand. We go straight to source. Nevertheless, this shall happen. The second shall say, my angels are high, and yours are low. Or they shall ask, how do we know your light is higher than ours? Look what the faithless say to him. And the faithless going to answer them saying, we know no high, no low. We give up all things in order to serve the Creator by doing good works to our fellow mans. Find me something demonic. Find me something.
Gang. Everything
one
righteous
thing.
over here, yo. Everything righteous.
Find me one bad thing. Now look. And Jehovah shall judge between them as to which is high and low. Not by their words, but by their works. And the signs of good works and self-abnegation shall be like a witness before the world. You're going to be able to tell these people because they talking something different. We not just talking, we doing something different. We actually helping our man. Doing good works, self-abnegation, and purifying our body. And the signs of good works and self-abnegation shall be like a witness before the world as to where the inspiration of each, the Bible thumper,
that's right,
and the follower of the Creator comes from. Now, in conclusion of authorship, the angels claim that they authored it. JBN, who was also the compiler, claims that the angels wrote it. And the Creator clears it up without a doubt that he is the source and fountainhead of this information, and that he sent the angelic host on his behalf. But here's the real reason they don't see it. Here's the real reason they don't see it.
Yeah, so Fitz,
they don't
it's
want
good,
to.
family.
But more
I just realized the board was on, so I was just
many of them can't.
Playing it from my side.
Can't see it. They're so wrapped up in self and low and below the grades, they can't make it out. The light is too bright for them. They can't see it because they waiting on someone to save them instead of beginning to save themselves. Ooh.
God's a Naravinian.
Book of Judgment 13, 44 through 47. Your spirit is as a seed of a beautiful tree which your Creator planted. Give it good light and clean soil so that it blossoms and its fruits may glorify your Creator in you. Such is the resurrection of the spirit of men. Do not wait for a Savior to save you, nor depend on words or prayers, nor listening to good sermons, flattering yourself every time you sitting up in the mosque, flattering yourself every time you sitting up in church, flattering yourself every time you sitting up in the synagogue, flattering yourself that you have done well, but begin to save yourself. How do we save ourselves though? By purifying your flesh, by purifying your thoughts, and by the practice of good works done to others with all your wisdom, love, and strength. Tell me where something is demonic.
That's the service of Jehovah.
For through these only is there any resurrection.
See that?
For you, either in this world or the next. Take it how you want to
Angels
take
still
it.
apply.
We not trying to push Oahspe on. But they got an old Aboriginal saying here in America
Yeah, over here.
that you gonna learn the hard way or the easy way. But either way, you gonna learn. Look, let's check it out though. Let's check it out. Why they can't get it. Why they are so resistant against this true light that is revealed in Oahspe. Book of Inspiration 18:19-21. This is why. Listen. Because you do not see or hear angels only proves your darkness, but does not prove that that is the absence of angels just because you can't see them. You can't see a proton, but they there. That don't mean that they ain't there. You see what I'm saying? They there. But to the dark come the dark. With the dark abide the dark. Both angels and mortals. That's why you can't get it. You ugly on the inside. You are hateful, racist, biased, prejudiced, Hebrew. Let that sink in. That's why you don't get it. Because with the dark abide the dark. To the dark comes the dark. The man of darkness is ruled more by angels, more by gods, more by Lord gods, more by lords than the man of light is. This is why you don't get it. Now, with that, without a doubt, we have proved the authorship, the compilement, and source of Oahspe. The author is the angels. The compiler is John Newborough. But the source for it all is the creator, Jehovah.
Said Hebrew heathens.
Alright? Let me stop this.
Oh, man.
Get back to this.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, I'm going to bring part 2 out. I was going to do this anyway. Shout to my sister, Kila. Remember, Jehovah said, I gave this stuff to a bunch of different people everywhere at different times on the earth, and they didn't know each other. She asked a simple question today. Who authored the Bible?
That was actually a couple days ago.
A very simple question that should have been answered just like that. But see, real scholars of biblical texts know that there's a problem. In Exodus, biblical God says he wrote it with his finger. Moses went down there, broke them. Then he told Moses to make a second group of tablets, and that he again was going to write it down. But then later on in that same verse in Exodus, in that same chapter in Exodus, Moses says he writes it down. But then,
no doubt, Bazell.
You go later in Acts, I want to say it's Acts 7, if I'm not mistaken. In Acts 7, it says that Torah was given through the angels, showing the confliction and the confusion in the text, proving right there that it couldn't have come from Creator. So who did write that Bible? we're going to figure that out in part 2 of the Jehovah Chronicles lessons. Authorship of the Bible, Tanakh, Torah. Shout out to my brother. Peace to the righteous gods. Zofit, huh? Creator gang gang. Shout out to Selah Shalom. Shout out to the sister Harriet Warren, huh? Shout out to Shine. Shout out to Angelic. Shout out to Real. Zofit, huh? All praises to the Most High. Peace to the righteous gods and Nirvanian goddesses. Gang. Gang. Huh?
Gang, gang.
Archie Bossy says no audio yet. What are you talking about?
Cosmo Cal family.
Right?
You know what I mean?
If y'all can hear me, man, let this go through. You dig what I'm talking about? I'll post up if y'all can hear me. But in lesson 2 of the Jehovah Chronicles, because we're going to do it 2 different ways, right? We're going to do group builds where everybody going to be able to come on and share their light, and then I'll do lessons like we did today. Well, I'll break it down, PowerPoint it, you dig what I'm talking about, and get into the lesson. So lesson 1 was authorship of the Oahspe. Lesson 2 is going to be authorship of Tanakh, Torah, and Bible. And we'll be back soon. Probably get on that tomorrow. You know, we've been in here 2 hours. It went by fast. All right. Thank you, Yasan L.
No doubt, though, puncher.
Bronze Yogi. Peace to my brother Bronze Yogi, man. I got to give you some credit, Bronze Yogi. I've been watching. I don't say a lot, but I see a lot.
You're going to be a moderator.
I see that growth, brother. I see it. I'm proud of you. You dig what I'm talking about? I love anybody, man, who wants to be righteous more than they want to be right. You hear me? Now, we're not gonna keep y'all long. Asio, Halito, Namaste, Ni hao, and in the words
Shibra, I see you, Shalom,
of my great ancestors, directly from Israelitish stock, praises of the Great Spirit and the Great Spirit only. No gods, no lords, no saviors. Only the Great Spirit. And in the Hebraic tongue, I'd like to leave y'all with shalom. And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh it's that John Beth, that Chow Mein, that Papabull, that Tao Mein, since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao Sang, so as above, it's so below. That up there, that down thing, this flow is atmospherian. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing and current? See the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oahspe flows to your speakers, you feel the force of the ether. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing
motion, put eco, my DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water, my spirit rate is OTN, it's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita, rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint, shout out my big homie Selah. Got more torque than sports car, got more work than a door star. In the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Uma, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oahspe flow is so potent, set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you making Salah. Well, I'm a Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm back on it. Yeah. Creator gang. You know what I mean? That was my man Cal P coming with his presentation. Authorship of the Oahspe. He wanted to give a full analysis. It's crazy because I didn't even know he was on air. I just decided to go live and seen him live. I was like, oh snap. It makes sense now. He had called me earlier. I missed his call. That's why. It makes sense now. What's good, fam? When I'm gonna give y'all a track, yo, I got some shit in the making. I got some joints in the making, yo. Just give me a minute. It's coming. The music coming. Best to believe it. Got some shit in the archive. Give y'all some visuals, some videos with it. You dig? So yeah, basically he was proving the authorship of the Oahspe, showing that John Newbro was the compiler. The angels was the author, or the writers, and the creator is the source who put the seal on it. You know what I mean? The creator's ways is righteousness, peace, love, and unity. It ain't no I hate yous going on. You know what I mean? The I hate yous come from the false gods, and these false gods is one-time human beings. So just imagine a human being that got prejudice in their heart, then they cross over in spirit with that same prejudice. You know what I mean? So when God is angry and jealous and stuff, it comes from that. The behavior of man is the behavior of God. And the behavior of God is the behavior of man. Peace to the family. Oahspe next level. Yeah, that's my dude Cal P, you know what I mean? Finally did his live. Finally got it in. You know what I mean? Take this off. Yeah, fam. So, you know, we gonna keep this truth moving, you know what I mean? Ain't nobody gonna be able to stop this truth that is coming out the Oahspe, because Once the Creator got His name on it, it can't be stopped. You see what I'm saying? Once the Creator put His name on it, it can't be stopped. Which angel inspired John Newbro? If not Jehovah. Well, Jehovah not an angel. You have angels that are in service to the Creator. And these angels that are in service to the Creator is the ones who came to John Newbro. They were angels of the second heaven, second resurrection. Let me give you a verse where it kind of tells the angels. So right here in the Oahspe, in chapter 1, verse 22, it says, "And the angels of heaven descended to the earth to man, and appeared before him, face to face, hundreds and thousands of them, speaking as man speaketh, writing as man writes, and teaching these things of Jehovah and his works." See that? So it states here that the angels of heavens descended to the earth. And then verse 23 states, "In the 33rd year, the ambassadors of the angel hosts of heaven prepared and revealed unto man in the name of Jehovah his heavenly kingdoms." So it was the ambassadors, it was the ambassador angel hosts of Jehovah. So these were angels that came to John Newbro. Like at the time, we ain't know this, you know what I mean? During the compiling of the Oahspe, once the Oahspe was revealed, and we got a chance to understand how the system in order and the title of angels, the title of ranks and angels, how that works, then you could basically see like, okay, this revelation came from the angels of heaven. Now, in the angels of heaven come in two fashions. They come true and they come in falsehood. Now, in order to distinguish if it's a true God or a false God, you got to examine the text and see what the intentions is. Because if it's any God got an intention, he's going to let it be known. So, like the God of the Bible or some of these false gods may have a certain intention. Like, if you disobey my law, I'm going to cast you in a lake of fire. You know what I mean? But in the Oahspe, the only intention is for you to progress to the Etherian realm. Jehovah said, "I created a corporeal body, and death I made that man may inherit my Etherian kingdom." So the Etherian kingdom is your scope. That's your intention. That's your goal. That's like graduating high school. Earth is elementary school, Atmospheria is high school, and Etheria is college. So that's our scope. Our scope is like school. So with school, you're not focused on a God. You're focused on graduating. You dig? Do the ambassador of hosts have name? Yeah, when you read the Oahspe, they have angels with names. Yeah, all of them got names. But, not everything is revealed as far as the names. You know what I mean? Like, they may not necessarily say what name of the angel that came to John Newbro. They'll just say the angels of the second heaven came to him. And once you understand that, all right, these angels that's moving in this particular order, whether you know their name or not, you know their intentions. You know what I mean? Yeah, they got names because you got Satanti, son of Jehovah. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you want a name? I'll give you a name. It says, "In the beginning of the inhabitants of the earth, the angels of heaven assembled in Horeb, a heavenly plateau resting on the earth. And the archangel Satantes was the wisest of them all. And he said unto them," so there you have a name of an archangel named Satantes. Satantes was the first angel to rule the heavens and the earth after the creation of man. So in some instances it does give you name, in some instances it just gives you the title of the angels. Archangel or angel host, kind of like how you have in the Bible. In the book of Sue, give me the chapter and verse in the book of Sue. We can go to it. Yes, the Oahspe is vast. The Oahspe is a vast, vast book. Is I am Jehovah? Is the I am Jehovah? That's the question. Is the I am Jehovah? Well, let's see. Boom, boom, doodle. We'll have to go to the time of Constantine for these things. Oh. But yeah, though, for the short point, yes, it does. Chapter 4, verse 17. Let me get the verse for the bedroom, and then we're gonna move forward. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Where's that? Oh, where it says it at right here. So this is in the book of God. I mean, God's book of Esdras, chapter 49, verse. No, what's this? No, that's 48. Verse 54, God said, my testimonies were previously with Abraham, dogma, and Moses. I spoke not of Christ, nor of the Holy Spirit or Holy Ghost. I spoke of God and the I am. So yeah, there go your answer. Bung. Spoke of God and the I am that I am. But keep in mind, the Creator is not a man. Yahweh, Jehovah, is not a man that you can look at. He's not like the God. The deities are the gods are deities. The gods are angels. One-time human beings, angels. But Jehovah is the creator. You can't see Jehovah. You never will see the creator Jehovah as you see him as a man. That's different. No. I got you, Shebrew. I was answering another brother question. So I got you right here. 417. Boom. So, all right. First came the birth rights, then the marriage rights, then the death rights, and first resurrection. Then the rights of harmony, and the play represented 1,000,000 of Etherians who went to a corporeal world. Okay. Let me see what the context of this going on. Oh, this is a festival. This is a play. They're demonstrating a play in particular to help risen up these fallen drudges like usual. But even with the birth rights, the marriage rights, you can find that in Zarathustra too. The story of Zarathustra talks about the rights. Now you good. Archie was good. Creator is all present, seen and unseen. That's right. That's Rizite. She was talking about the marriage right, the birth rights, the book of divinity, touch on something a little bit to that nature. Read the book of divinity, family, when y'all, that's a good book. The book of divinity breaks down the primary education of the first and second resurrection. Excellent read. Excellent read. But it definitely gives you a lot of insight about the rights. So old girl was talking about the rights. Now in the book of divinity, Shebrew, if you go to the book of divinity chapter 2 and start around like verse 15 and read from there, it talks about the birth rights. I'll read a little bit. This was the second divine law. Verse 16, the Diva decreed to establish funeral rites and ceremonies with words, according to the Diva, that is, the Zarathustrian, the Ahomazdian, and the Ormazdian law. This was the third divine law, verse 18. God said, in the birth rites, in the marriage rites, and the funeral rites, recording angels of the Lord were present, and afterward they reported these things to my kingdoms in heaven. And all such mortals as carry out these rites and ceremonies with words were named Zarathustrians. Nevertheless, there were many others who, not being capable of inspiration, stood aloft from me and my kingdom. So you have these birth rites, these marriage rites, funeral rites or death rites that was given to mortals, but these things were also done in heaven, as you read in the book of Sue. Those were demonstrated to the drudges. So as above, so below. If they miss it on earth, they'll establish it in heaven. But it's not in heaven. Of course, they don't, like marry and given to marriage or anything like that. But it's just it's a unionship, an understanding of a unionship. What about engaging in worldly activities such as what? It depends on what. Because all the activities we engage in is worldly, good or bad. So it just depends on the content or what you're talking about. Yeah. Let me see here. Yes, family. Yeah, I'm getting text from my peoples. Denzel was good. When they get spirits in the hospitals and restore them, do they ever play back their deaths to them? I wonder. Oh, I'm sure they do. I'm sure it's angels sitting around talking about, well, how you cross over when you die? How you get over here? Yeah, man, I lived it out. I died in my sleep. Oh, word? Man, I got shot 30 times. Man, they did me dirty. Well, damn, that's messed up. Yeah, I got hit in a car accident. I'm sure they have those conversations. I'm sure they had those conversations. Same way if you was laid up in the hospital and you got a couple bunkies next to you. What happened to you? Ah, damn dog bit me. What happened to you? Ah, damn police chase. You know what I mean? I'm sure they have these stories. Don't think that what we do on earth ain't being paralleled in the heavens. Similar things. Everything. Keep in mind, everything we do on earth came from the angels of heaven. Every advancement that we got was hand delivered to us, taught to us. If not, we would not advance. We will still be on a primitive level if we wasn't told certain things. The only way we advance is when somebody tell you something. You know what I mean? If we was living in nature and nobody ever came to us and tell us nothing, we'll just be living in nature like how some of the native tribes live. You know what I mean? They live according to nature. Very simple. You know what I mean? It's not like they building high-rise cities and things of that nature. Some of these things was taught, inspired by the angels. And God saw that everything he had made was good and man was created. Yeah, you talk about the 7-day creation story. God said, behold, I come to reveal what was done in heaven, that thou, O man, may understand the causes of things being done on earth. See that? He said, I come to reveal the things in heaven so you, man, on earth could understand the cause and effect. Because we live in the effect of the cause. The cause comes from the angels and we live out the effect. We live out the inspiration. The unseen has control over the seen. The unseen has more influence of the seen. So the angels live in the unseen. The unseen is outside of visible light. What we consider unseen is outside of visible light. You know what I mean? My man Cosmo Cal dropped that authorship. So this book is a book of angels. The Oahspe is a book of angels. The whole thing is about angels. Angels that are in service of the Creator. Angels that became false gods, prospered, fell, restored, sent back to the Creator. And that's basically the summary of the whole book. The ups and downs, the rise and falls of angels and mortals. The rise and falls of earthly kingdoms and heavenly kingdoms. You know what I mean? And these are the lessons for angels and mortals. Mastering the elements of Jehovah's creation to become sufficient gods and goddesses to navigate in creation. See that? Yeah, yo, Jehovah ain't making no weaklings out here. Jehovah said at times I need worlds that needs to be coaxed at times. Worlds that need to be commanded at times by most severe gods. What did it say? Let me read that verse. It's in the book of Osiris. Book of Osiris, chapter 2, verse 3. For not, O man, fear not, O man, that I have not labor for them in high heaven. I have worlds to be nurtured and coaxed at times, worlds to be pruned at times and commanded by most severe authority, made to know that all power lieth in me through my gods and lords. See that? For these exalted extreme gods I have placed in the firmament, and worlds numberless, wherein they dwell as stars in my firmament. See that? Well, we thinking the stars is these extreme exalted gods. Hither make I roadways for my traveling corporeal worlds, where lie my ethereal fields of pasture to glorify me, and lead on mortal born, so now to my commanding God Osiris, who ruled in Lotson. So yeah, man, the Creator got worlds out here that needs to be, you know what I mean? That needs to be addressed. Other inhabitable worlds, there's millions of inhabitable worlds out here, while scientists are still scratching their head thinking we're the only ones in space, we're the only ones that exist. Come on, man. I done seen space starships flying, and I'm like, okay, somebody got to be navigating that. Ain't no way in hell that shit just a floating piece of debris. That shit is going, then it turns. Nah, that shit got intelligent movement going on. Shalom, shalom, what's good? One of your clients at the Moors tried studying to be a Moor, tried to debate me on the creation deal between the Bible and the Oahspe, and I was able to chop. Yeah, the Oahspe going to chopping niggas down, because see, the Oahspe got the false account of creation, so you can show them that. And then you got the essence of creation with vortexian current. And then the Oahspe gives you an example in nature of the vortex as the whirlwind. So you can demonstrate in nature and in creation the vortices that the whole that the Creator speaks of. But they can't speak of that because the 7-day creation story doesn't have no real substance of creation. You know what I mean? Mastering the elements of Jehovah creation. Yep, so true. It doesn't start after death, it starts now. Exactly, it starts now. You know who got a good understanding of self-mastery? Is the Shaolin monks. Like the Asians, Japheth is on top of their mastery, because Japheth, the Asians, they deal with the martial arts, they deal with controlling the chi. So they damn near there. While niggas over here arguing about which God is more powerful, I'm the chosen God, Japheth, the Asians, is over there doing self-mastery in the Shaolin up in the mountains. They mastering the body. I see the documentary where some monks, they went up in a cave and niggas put some cold ass towels on their back. Them niggas was freezing. About 30 minutes later, boy, them niggas was, you seen smoke coming off the towel. Them niggas done used their chi energy to heat up their body to the point where smoke, vapor is coming off the towels. They done heated that shit up using their own body, chi energy. See that? That's what the Creator talking about, mastery of self, mastering the elements. We supposed to be doing greater things than Yahshua. We supposed to be out here levitating. We supposed to be out here doing certain miracles that the Messiah did 2,000 years ago. You trying to tell me the Messiah said, you're going to do greater things than me 2,000 years ago and we ain't doing nothing? Son ain't right. Son ain't right. How are we 2,000 years later and we can't touch a motherfucker on the right hand and heal him if Jesus was doing that? And he said you're going to do greater things. Yahshua walked on water. Greater things than that. Who's doing that? I ain't seen a Hebrew Israelite walk on water yet. And if you're going to be doing greater things, it's like, why are you waiting on him to come back? He said, you're going to be greater than me. Ain't one rose up yet. Yeah, that's right, Elijah. They meditated but then it falls. You're right. Japhet is not white people, bro. White people came later. Asians has been around longer than Europeans. You coming from the biblical perspective. We don't do the biblical perspective. Japhet is Asia. You got Japhet is Asia, Shem is India, and Ham is Africa. And then you got Gautama, which is North America, and then you got Yesta, which is Japan. So you don't know about the Yesta and Gautama because that's not in the Bible. Those are Native Americans. But that's a whole nother story. Some people come on and don't know the history of the Oahspe, so they don't understand the terminology we're using. We ain't talking about knowing his three sons. Those are false allegory stories by a false god, Anuhasaj. The real flood account, 12,420 people were saved, and they was divided into fleets of ships. But you gotta read to know that. Nah, the land of Israel is in there. Talk about Moses and them. You don't talk about too much of all the biblical characters. It may touch on some of the characters, but they got more. This is more of an angelical book, simultaneously dealing with Earth history. We got Guy Harris in the building. What's good, family? We're all Ahuans at the end of the day, no doubt. Yeah, I know both books well. I know the Bible and the Oahspe well. And as an avid reader of both of them who know them well, see, I got the Bible right here. This is my Bible. It's touched up. It's written up. It's my Oahspe. Oahspe Bible. Book's been ran through. I ran through these books. You know what I mean? And as an avid reader of both, and as everybody else know that the Oahspe is a better read, it has more answers, it explains more things. It's going to challenge your current belief. And it's going to expose you to a greater understanding of creation and the progress of creation. It's going to expose you to the angels that service to themselves, claiming to be gods, claiming to be the creator, but they false. You don't have to have Jesus to cover your sins. You worship the Creator and the Creator only. The Creator is the one who made you alive and nobody else. There is no middleman. Now, Yahshua is in the story. Yahshua is in the Oahspe. There's the commandments of Yahshua in the Oahspe. And in the Oahspe, Yahshua says, worship no gods or no lords, no saviors, but Jehovah only. So Jehovah only is who you worship. And then your sins will be forgiven. Question, Selah, who is the present true God of North America? It doesn't reveal who is true God. It didn't necessarily reveal the current gods. In the because see, by the time you get to the ending of the Oahspe, they didn't reveal the atmospherian gods. They only revealed the Etherian goddess who brought in the arc cycle. But by the time you understand it to this point, when you get to the end of the book, it doesn't necessarily matter the name per se. Because at this point, you know how the heavenly proceedings are ran. So even if we didn't know who was in office, and if somebody was in office in presidency, we know how the presidency, we know how government works. So regardless of who is in office, it's still the same function, if you see what I'm saying. So if true God right now, if his name was David, you know what I mean, that'll be his name, and the proceedings will still be the same as far as him trying to get souls, humans and angels, to resurrect in the grades. The purpose of true God, the purpose of the true Lord gods and the true lords and the guardian angels, is to have you resurrect in the grades. Their duty is to make you get A's in school, to make it plain. If you get an A in grade, if you get an A in your class, you're gonna pass to the next grade. So it's just like that. The service than the others. Instead of A's and B's, your percentages is based off numbers, from 150 to 99. Yep, that's right. A goddess is in session. Yeah, a goddess. A female goddess is running for the next 3,000. She's the Etherian goddess. See, the Etherians, when they come at the beginning of the arc cycle, they're come to start the arc cycle. Archangels or Etherian angels that open up the arc cycle, they're responsible for the next 3,000 years. They're responsible for 3,000-year cycles. The atmospherian god, who we call true God, is responsible for 400 years within that 3,000 years. So we got a female goddess that's going to be influencing the next 3,000 years. So it could be a female goddess initiating a male god, true God, in the atmospheric kingdom. You know what I mean? If you want to know how the inauguration goes, just read the book of Sathantes. In chapter 1, it breaks down the inauguration, how the Etherians come and initiate and inaugurate true God of heaven and earth. Luamung seems to be present today. Yeah, Luamung is still here. Luamung came on the scene about 8th century, 9th century BC. That's when his name became present, like when you read the Oahspe, that time period. So he's been around for a minute. Luamung been around for a minute. To sit down and talk to Luamung would be astonishing, because he was here. He's seen this whole shit play out. He's the one that inspired Ezra. Luamung. Luamung is the same one that inspired Constantine. Damn near close to 1,000 years later. You see that? Luamung inspired the crusade to come over here in America and establish Christianity. The only reason Christianity is in America is because of Luamung. Luamung did that. See that? So Luamung got a trail he got to clean up. His trail starts all the way in Jerusalem. From Jerusalem to Rome, from Rome to Europe, and coming to the Atlantic over here, this nigga left a trail of tears. You want to talk about a trail of tears? Luamung left a trail of goddamn tears. A hella trail, a hella tears, man. Luamung ain't playing no games, man. Yes, he's in the process of redemption. Yeah, he's definitely in the process of redemption. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's not up to no old schemes after what he went through. You remember in the book of in the book of Esther, when he fell and he had to be redeemed, he didn't want to go through that again. So he's on a redemptive act. He got first what he got to do. A lot of times, what the false gods got to do when they get delivered out of hell, they got to clean up their heavenly kingdom first. And once their whole heavenly kingdom is cleaned up, then they go down to earth and start working with mortals to clean it up on earth. And once the name is cast out on earth, once the name Jesus Christ is cast out, then he can ascend to the ethereal realms. So he has an opportunity to ascend in 1848, or he has an opportunity to ascend at the next harvest. Or sometimes it's granted he could ascend within the middle of a harvest. That's right, Gary. That's right, Guy. True prophets teach to go to the Creator. False prophets teach to go to the Savior, to reach a God who claimed to be the Creator. That's right. That's exactly what you have. Tony, I'm going to hit you in the few. Let me hit you back. Came doing a little live. Here. Yes, family. Jesus is I am. Just focus on the Creator. Don't focus on no middlemen. That's where you're going to lose track. You got to focus on the Creator, because you're going to be captured by a false God who's going to play like he's Jesus. See, these are the spiritual things you don't know about. The spiritual deceptions that run deep. You got to be aware of. Or you're going to be held captive by these deities. You don't want that, do you? Didn't in your Bible it said there'll be many false Christs coming out claiming to be me? Don't believe none of them. He said don't believe none of them. If you believe in you can't go wrong with just believing in the Creator. But you can go wrong believing in a God or a Lord or a Savior. Because you got people who believe in Buddha. You got people who believe in Allah, these other deities. So you're going to be battling with other people. You come to the Creator, you ain't got to battle with nobody. The Creator holds supremacy. Jesus is not Jehovah. No, 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 no. The Creator is omnipresent. The Creator does not incarnate into no man. So the whole idea that God became flesh, it's erroneous. The Creator sends messengers, prophets, messiahs when people are lost. When people are lost and people are in darkness is when the Creator sends saviors, messiahs, prophets to raise the people up, to let them know about the Creator, but not to worship the Messiah. You're not supposed to worship Jesus. If you worship Jesus, you're worshiping the idol, and that breaks the commandment of the Creator. You shall worship no idols. Man or angel, flesh or wood or bone? Neither. Nor flesh, nor wood or stone. But what about sin? That's what I'm saying. If you worship an idol, that's sin. That's blasphemy. The Creator is not an idol. The Creator is not somebody you're going to look at like how you're looking at me or looking at you. Jesus is just a prophet of the Creator. Jesus was teaching you to come back to the Creator, not to worship Him. You worship the Creator only. I'm trying to tell you, that's the safest route you could go. If you do anything outside of that, you're in danger of the deception of Satan. You don't want to be deceived by the adversary. Now, do ya? No, nobody could die for your sins, beloved. You got to carry your own burden. You are responsible for your own sins. And you will be judged accordingly. You see what I'm saying? And it's not a judgment of fair. It's a judgment of perfection, purifying. Wherever you fell short, you're going to get better, purify yourself, restore yourself. As long as you ain't out here killing and murdering people, because those are some of the greatest sins you could do. Because now you're responsible for restoring the person you're injured. So if you kill somebody, you got to restore that person. Kayla, I see you. Peace to the fam. You are your own savior. Exactly, Stephen. See that? Bible had us thinking prayers clean our sin, right? See, when people think of sin, they be like, when you think of the word sin, it sounds almost like bloody and gory sin, you know what I mean? It gives you that kind of feel. But some of the greatest sins is, the greatest sin, the greatest blasphemy. Two of the greatest sins you could do is worship the Creator in the image of a man or a woman. That's one of the greatest sins you could do. Because with you doing that, that leaves the door open for deceiving angels to assume to be that deity that you think is the Creator, and they're going to hoodwink you in. They're going to bring you in. And the next greatest sin is slaying a person. Slaying a soul, slaying an individual. Because that individual could retaliate on you when you cross over in spirit. So those two things you got to be mindful of. Jesus was made up. Sorry for bluntness. Josh was the true prophet. Yeah, so Guy Harris is telling you that Jesus was a fictional character. He was created by the Romans. You know what I'm saying? And Yeshua or Joshua was the true prophet. Yeshua of Nazareth. You know what I mean? The Nazarene. In order to be a Nazarite, you have to let your hair grow in locks. That dude, that's the real dude. He was a vegetarian. He didn't eat meat. He practiced worshiping the Creator only, and he practiced the service done unto others. Is how you ascend, yo. We thought we could pray away sins. And a good example of people who pray away sins is the Catholic Church, like the mob movies. Look at some of the mob movies. You know, the mob go do some dirt, and they go to the Catholic Church, talk, they do their confession, and then the priest will forgive them, and then they'll feel like they done, you know, they sins is washed. They'll be good for a minute till they catch another body, then they back doing the same thing. But the mafia is connected with the Roman Catholic Church and the Pope in them. And that's Luamung. Luamung established that base. You see that? Although Luamung is on a redemptive path, but when Luamung got a clean house, he got to clean up Rome. So although Luamung ain't touched down on the earth yet, because he's still cleaning up in his heavenly kingdom, that's going to take some time. You're talking about millions upon millions, billions of souls throughout the course of history. So just imagine all the souls he collected from the time of Ezra, 4th century BC, on up to the time of Constantine, 3rd century BC. You're talking close to 1,000 years of harvesting souls in his heavenly kingdom. So you're talking upon billions of souls that he got to go around and re-establish and tell these niggas, I'm not the creator. Get them back into the primary educations for them to progress in the grades until he gets to like a grade 75 or 85, 95. Then he'll be ready to go into Ethereum. But he got to raise up the lowest. So if he have drudges with grades that are below the grades, he got to raise them up to grade 80. See what I mean? So he got to work, he got to do all that in the heavens before he can even come to the earth and make his impact. Because by the time he comes to the earth and make his impact, the heavens is already arranged. So once he start coming to the earth, that may be that second coming. His second coming may have nothing to do with no goddamn destruction. His second coming may be with a whole redemption plan to tell the world, like, yo, return to the creator. He got heaven arranged. Now he got to arrange earth and get it situated. And then when that's done, then he can ascend to the Ethereal realm. Some of these long-time gods are still here, yo. Osiris and Baal and Ashtaroth, all them niggas got judged during the same time as Luamung. Them niggas still here too. Baal still here. Ashtaroth still here. They all doing the redemptive works right now. And they all have an opportunity to ascend in 2048, but it may not happen. Because the names of these niggas got to be eradicated off the planet. And the majority of the world is still worshiping Lord, gods, and Saviors. So them niggas, they may not ascend until 2448, the next 400-year cycle. They may ascend then because they'll have another 400 years to work on eradicating the work that they did. See that? The duration of these false gods is long when they start doing these things, yo. They gave Yeshua the story of Zarathustra, right? Because when Constantine was amalgamating the stories of the prophets, or the main prophet, the main head, Zarathustra was definitely one of the stories, and Yeshua was one of the stories. They amalgamated the stories. And a good portion of it, at least 65, 75% of the story of Jesus Christ is the story of Zarathustra. The hanging on the cross on two. That's why we say that Yeshua was stoned to death, but the hanging of the cross, that comes from Zarathustra. You read the story of Zarathustra in the Oahspe, he was hanging between two thieves. And the renting of the twine and the striking of lightning and all that, and the throwing his body in the lion's den, all that is the story of Zarathustra. And the Oahspe say Yeshua was stoned to death. And when Yeshua said, he who was without sin cast the first stone, that coincided with the law. So them niggas about to stone him right there. Him and the chick. Harriet Warren, shalom, shalom, create a gang, gang all day. All gods are mentioned besides Luamung in history. Now the reason of that is because Luamung didn't make his name worshipful. What the name he made worshipful in history was Christ, the Kai in a row. The symbol that constant. This is what he made worshipful in history. Let me give you a glimpse right quick. This is what he made worshipful in history. The Kai in a row. You see the symbol on their cross? That's called a Kai in a row. The symbol of the Christ. That's the earliest depiction of the Christ. That right there. That is the vision of Constantine in history. When he was battling Maximus at Malivian Bridge, 323, and a cross appeared in the sky at the battle. And he was told in a vision about this cross, and he was told to make the cross on the shields for his army, and that's what they did. And that's what you see there. You see the shield with the X and the P. That's the Kai and the Rho. That's the cross. That's Luamung. That's Luamung mark in history with the vision of Constantine. And Oahspe explains that. Is Shiva today Sadhguru of the past? Nah. When you look at some of these false gods and their warrior armies, a lot of these deities were part of the armies of Sadhguru. So like when you look at the false god Sadhguru and you look at his warrior angels that went down to the earth to establish a base, you'll find Shiva, you'll find Krishna, you'll find these different gods that you're familiar with in history, but these were lesser gods. These were sub-gods, land gods. They made their influence on earth with mortals, but there were higher gods above them that mainly did their abidings in the heavens, so you don't hear too much about them. It's only until Revelations like Oahspe explain these things. Explain these land gods. That's why you got so many land gods you're familiar with, because their duty was to make an impact with mortals on the earth. Like Baal, Ashtaroth, Dagon, Shemesh, Enki, and Lel. If you notice, the story of Enki and Lel is played out on the earth, but the story of Anu, you don't see Anu on earth. You see him in heaven. See what I'm saying? And you don't hear too much of him because his administration is more within the heavenly realm. But Enki and Lel being land gods, their administration was dealing with more with mortal affairs. So even in the story of Enki and Lel, you see that parallel of land gods in comparison to atmospherian gods who spend most of their time in the atmosphere than on earth. I use the Kai in a row because the Kai in a row was the first symbol of the Christ. That's the first symbol of the Christ. He was the one that told Constantine to create and solidify that as the head symbol for Christianity. And then you see the Kai in a row during the Ptolemy time. That's how things is, man. The revelation is here. Don't let those things fool you or fun of you. Just get the revelation and understand what's going on. The same thing with Moses. Why did he come to Moses to reveal it to him? Regardless, the law statutes is here. You know what I mean? Figure them out and better understand and navigate in comparison to just worrying about who wrote it. That makes John Newbro even more suspect because it's like, well, damn, how did he get the revelation? How did he get all this information? It is what it is. It's here. You coincide and correlate it to history. If it got merit, it got merit. If it's making sense, it's making sense. So, you know, that's what it is for the most part. To coincide with the history. Yes, family. Now, that don't make sense because you don't read the Oahspe. You don't understand what's going on. You must have just tapped in. You got to go do a lot of homework, buddy. You got to read to find out these things. Proverbs 25:2, it's the glory of God to conceal a thing, but it's the honor of a king to search out a matter. You got to search out these things. Everybody in the chat knows what's going on because they done read it. They done put two and two together. And Oahspe is a revelation of things unknown, things hidden, brought to light. That's what the Oahspe is. Revealing things that was hidden. Revelations unknown, the proceedings of heaven, the proceedings of the gods and goddesses throughout history simultaneously with mortal history or earth history at the time periods. It's the timetables of prophecy. If you're still struggling on the Bible, you cannot unlearn what you have been learned. True indeed. Well, the way we settle things, we debate the book. So if you disagree, we'll debate you with the books, chapter and verse, and prove everything with chapter and verse, and then you get clarity that way if there's a disagreement. That's how we do. So if you feel like, God of the Bible is the Most High and the Oahspe God is not, we'll challenge you with chapter and verse to prove the difference, to see who's really got the Creator. That's how we settle things over here. But if you never read it, you have to read it, because if you don't know the Bible, if you never read it, then you're going to be always curious. As an adult, you gotta get knowledge for yourself, get wisdom and understanding for yourself of these things. You know what I mean? I got the Quran too. Read the Quran too. The Quran talks half about the children of Israel and half the Quran. Man, you don't even have a witness of the Bible. You don't have a primary source of the Bible. You know what I mean? So we have a primary source on eyewitnesses of the Oahspe, because the publishers are the two witnesses. The witnesses of the compiling and the publishing of the book. Witnesses was all around. Analysts was all around. PhDs read this book. They testified and verified. So the homework is on you, beloved. We already done this. Like I tell them, ain't no thinking over here, ain't no scratching our head over here, ain't no trying to figure it out. We already know. The burden is on you to know. But yes, family, we're going to move forward, you know what I mean? Move forward with the scriptures, yeah? I'm supposed to be going on some, the other brother page, which is Scorn podcast. I forgot the name of the podcast. But Hilltop, brother named Hilltop, is supposed to be talking about the Oahspe again. More confirmation. Is it a real revelation? It's obvious a real revelation, as you can see. You know what I mean? The revelations of angels revealing things that is hidden. You know what I mean? Revealing things that you thought was the truth, come to find out is false. It's a lot of things on that nature. Get to know yourself, love the Creator, and treat others, that's right, the same way you want to be treated. That's the rudimentary foundation of Jehovah's kingdom. Is the service done unto others. See, it don't require sprinkling of blood. So when you read the Bible, and all the things that the Leviticus priest was doing, cutting animal goats and sprinkling blood, that's not required of the Creator. I don't know where the fuck that shit came from. And they got you believing that's coming from the Creator. That's not coming from the Creator. The Creator never told you to sacrifice animals in the sense of like you got to continually do that to please Him. You know what I mean? It may have been an instance here and there where for a purpose or a certain scenario, but to say consistently offering up sacrifices to a deity, killing animals and sprinkling blood, that's more demonic, satanic sounding than anything. That sounds like you worshiping the Baphomet, Moloch, and them deities right there. But what's required of the Creator is purity of diet, the service done unto others in righteousness. You know what I mean? You got your basic commandments. You know what I mean? Thou shalt not murder. Things of that nature. So it's simple. It's light. People make it complicated. It's a vibes moment. You done know. John Nubro didn't write Oahspe. It came from created through the Creator's angels to John Nubro. See that? People understand that. It's the same way how all holy books was written. Moses got it. Moses got it three ways. Some say Moses got it from the finger of God. Some say Moses wrote it. Some say the ordained angels. It was received by ordained angels. That's how you got, three different ways how the Bible came about. And none of those ways are verified because you don't have a primary source of the Bible. You don't have a primary source of the Tanakh, of the Torah from Moses, nor do you have a primary source of Ezra Tanakh. You don't get a published Bible or printed Bible until the 14th century Common Era. So you ain't too far behind from Oahspe. Some people think because the book was written in 1880 that means something. Every book got a beginning. Every revelation got a beginning. Moses got the Tanakh. The Torah, that was a beginning. The Egyptians stood, the time of Moses, was the ending of the Middle Kingdom. So you had the Middle Kingdom, and then you had the Old Kingdom with the pyramid text that stood long before the goddamn Tanakh. So when Moses came with the Tanakh, them Egyptians would have been doing the same thing you doing to the Oahspe. Oh, that book was a new book. Why should we read that book? Why should we read those 613 laws when that book is only 2 years old? We got Old Kingdom documents that's 2,000 years older than yours documents. It's the same argument. It's the same petty argument. But you know when you got the Torah, you like, nah, this coming from God. You don't get it. Same argument you gonna make with Pharaoh and the Egyptians, the same argument we make it with you. Same parallel. Exactly, the Gutenberg's Bible, 1455. That's the first printed Bible. Who brought that out? Your boy goddamn, I forget his name. The elder. Classic, exactly, sis. Just like the laws of Moses, got it from an angel. Exactly. Got it from an angel. Abraham was inspired by who? To leave his native land and go into the land of Canaan, and told Abraham that's going to be the promised land that's going to be given to your seeds. Who told God that? I mean, Abraham that? God, an angel. All this shit is angelic communication. See that? It's only when you examine the text till you know if it's coming from the Creator or not. The Bible don't talk about the Etherian kingdoms. The Bible doesn't make one mention of the Etherian kingdoms. It doesn't even describe heaven. Oahspe gives you localities of heaven, what goes on in the heavens, the labor of the angels in heaven. And these angels are the spirits of the dead, so these are your ancestors. And it's telling you the things your ancestors do in heaven. And then ain't got nothing to do with no goddamn bowing down to no God unless you worshiping a false God. The false gods is the only ones in the book who got you bowing down and making you looking like a goddamn fool, a subservient slave. But angels in the kingdoms of true God, everybody's treated equal. The only reason true God is true God because he got mastery in the realm. He been in the realm long. He got experience. It's like a martial art. You got the sensei. He the master because he know the art. And you the student. You come to learn the craft. And the quicker and the better you proficient in the craft, the quicker you can rise in degree. See that? Simple mathematics. Ain't no big me's and little u's. It's you mastering the art and moving up the ladder. But the false gods ain't got you moving up the ladder. They got you bowing down to their feet, worshiping at the bottom of their throne, bowing down. And then when you finish, you go back to work. And then back to bowing. Back to work, back to bowing. That's what you're going to be doing in this false God's heavenly kingdom. Remaining in the second heaven, because the false gods can't rise no higher than the second heaven. So you're going to be stuck in the second heavenly kingdom, rising and working every day, going nowhere, not progressing. That's like being in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. You stuck at 10th grade and not progressing no further, while everybody around you was graduating, going to college. In a nutshell, that's what's going on. But which teaches pure love serve the Creator by doing righteousness unto others? Only Oahspe. You done know. Oahspe is the only example that's going to show cats. The Bible definitely not. The Bible got you ready to go to war. It's preparing you to go to war. It's preparing you for revelation. It's preparing you for something that you think going to take place. The rising and falls of nations, that been going on. That ain't no new prophecy. That been going on before the biblical prophecy. If you go back to the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, the New Kingdom of Egypt, nations been rising and falling all before then. That's just the seasons and cycles of the arc cycles. See, the Oahspe talks about the rise and falls of nations within the arc cycle of 3,000 years. That's the blueprint of prophecy, but cats don't understand that. They looking for, well, you know, the Lord is going to strike down the enemies, then Israel is going to walk into the promised land. They want some prophetic shit like that, but nah. If you're dealing with the Creator has a holistic prophecy. It lays out prophecy for the world, the whole rise and fall of the nations, period. Not just one nation, but all nations. Because every nation that has ever been has fallen. Don't no nation last forever. So you understand that, you can break down the rules. Oneness was good. I see you chiming in. We just freestyling, just vibing, doing the Q&A, reading a couple verses here and there, but mainly Q&As. Know what I mean? It's system and order to this thing. And Jehovah caused the angels of atmosphere to assemble together and organize the first kingdom of heaven and earth. And the place was called Horeb, because it was the place of the first organic abiding place for the first God of this world. See that? See how specific it's reading? It's being specific. It's telling you that at one point there was a first God to rule this heaven and earth. It just wasn't no just God. No, it was a first God. He was initiated and installed, and he reigned for a period of time. And then another God come and is installed, and he reigned. Those are called harvest times. See that? And that right there was in the Book of Jehovah, chapter 8, verse 16. The Book of Jehovah, chapter 8, verse 16. And Jehovah caused the angels of Atmospheria to assemble together and organize the first kingdom of the heavens and the earth. And the place was called Horeb, because it was the place of the first organic abiding place for the first God of this heaven and earth. And it was situated, and guess where it was situated? And Horeb was situated over and above the mountains of Aoatin and Ugakwa, to the eastward of Ul, of the country hereafter called the continent of Pan. See that? The first heavenly kingdom was situated over the continent of Pan, which was over in the Pacific Ocean side. And the mountain regions of Pan was in the north, so that would have been towards like Japan coming over to like Alaska, like in that region, within that region. No doubt, King. Awakened, no doubt, exactly. He cleaned up his life for 10 years before the angels came back to reveal the revelation. And you're right, ain't too many cats gonna be that disciplined to even do something like that. So they talking all this stuff, but look at the revelation. And then John Newbro said if people are disciplined themselves to do this, ain't no telling what they could get out of it. The revelation. You dig? Yeah, and at that time, there was other spiritual books coming out at that time. I read a couple other spiritual books. There's another spiritual book called Clothed with the Sun by Anna Sun. I forgot her last name. You know what I mean? I was reading that. Reading a couple other books, but the Oahspe topped all the books in that era. All the books in that, spiritualist books in that era, it's other spiritualist books like Oahspe. As far as angels communicating with the people and people writing the text. Look, it's called Clothed with the Sun. And I was like, damn, okay. But it wasn't nothing like Oahspe. It was more like biblical. It was more like a lady having visions and dreams, and she was just writing them down, and it was tied into some biblical shit. Let's see. Yeah, that shit was a bugged out book, yo. I think that shit was on sacredtext.com too. Sacred text. Yeah. Yup.
Okay.
So yeah, if you ain't got you an Oahspe, you might as well get you one. It's only $30, $28,
No, he's
$25 on Amazon. It ain't that expensive. You dig? Bring up some music, yeah? Let's bring that up. Yes, family. You don't know it survives. Exactly, hearing the voice of the Creator, purify the body, mind, and soul, detoxing, eating plants, herbs, like John Newbro did for 10 years. Exactly. See that? They want to hate John Newbro, but they're not reading his biography to see, like, damn, okay, this dude took a spiritual journey, and this what he came out. This what came out of it. And then it coincided with the timetables of prophecy, because 1848 was the ending of the 24th arc cycle. The 24th arc cycle started in 1553 BC and ended in 1848 present time. And then the 33, 66, 99 year cycle started from there ever since. And the Oahspe was born on the cusp of that first 33, 1881. You know what I mean? And I'm born on the cusp of that 80. 100 years later, I was born, 1980. I'm born right on the cusp of that arc cycle. Oahspe is 1881. I was born 1980, 100 years later. Boom, right on the cycle. You know what I mean? I fall in the timetables of prophecy. Because I did my birthday and all that. I was like, damn, nigga, my shit line right in. 100-year cycle, right after the Oahspe. I said, look at that. The Oahspe is better than all these spiritual books to me. Yeah, you're right, it is. And the only way to know that is to read it. If you read the Oahspe from beginning to end, yeah, you're gonna know then. It's gonna crush all your present belief systems. It's gonna be like, damn. And it's gonna answer way more questions than your Bible. Your Bible is only what? Starts with Abraham, because the flood account is fake. All that is allegory. So the real, true historical figure really comes with Abraham. The time of Abraham, because Noah wasn't a real person. Shem, Ham, and Japheth wasn't a real person. Now the descendants and the names may have been people, although that's a whole other story. But Abraham is where the story really kicks off, where God chooses Abraham. The time of Abraham is only 6,000 years ago. That's when your Bible starts, 6,000 years ago, with Abraham sojourning into the land of Canaan and telling Abraham, I'm going to give you this land, the land that flows with milk and honey. So while God telling Abraham that, the Canaanites already living there peacefully, speaking a Paleo-Phoenician language. So by the time Abraham's descendants are born, Jacob, the 11 brothers, then they go down into Egypt, then they multiply in Egypt, then they come out of Egypt in the Exodus, spend 40 years in the wilderness according to the story, and then they prepare to go to war to take over the promised land. But damn God, that's how we taking over the land. We going to war. You ain't tell Abraham that. You ain't tell Abraham, God didn't tell Abraham, your descendants is gonna slaughter these Canaanites for the land. Well, now you got this God telling Israel to go slaughter the Canaanites for the land. And they did it. They didn't fulfill it, but they did it. And they lived among the Canaanites, and then interbred with the same people they slaughtered. So that was a waste of time. And now you have these mixed seeds, these mixed Israelites clamoring for their tribal gods. And there were these mixed Israelites that started worshiping Baal and El and these Canaanite deities, while you still had other Israelites steadfast to the truth. This is the sojourn of the story of the Bible. It's a 6,000-year sojourn. Oahspe go beyond that. Oahspe goes 25,000 years from here to the flood. The Bible don't go back that. Ain't no history in the Bible 25,000 years old. From the flood to where we at today is 25,000 years old. If Abraham is 6,000 years old, that means the flood would have been not 10,000 years if you want to use a biblical measure. And ain't no proof of no flood 10,000 years ago, 6,000 years or whatever. 25,000 years ago. And then Oahspe describes that the flood was the sinking of the continent of Pan. And we see the ring of fire around the Pacific. Remnants of this action that took place 25,000 years ago. Yeah. Kizzy, I see you. What's good, family? Kizzy Rock. Primordial Cosmic Energy, I see you. I thought the Oahspe was against eating meat. The reason the Oahspe speak against eating meat is because of impurity, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily speak against like, oh, you ain't supposed, you know what I mean? It just tells you not to eat meat because of the impurities that come with it. But if there's a famine and there's nothing to eat, you know what I mean? If there's some meat, you're gonna eat it, you know what I mean? You're not gonna starve over that shit. So it's variables to this shit, you know what I mean? It's points where men were carnivores and the Creator suffered men to be carnivores for a season. So sometimes he allows it. Yeah, it's deep, yo. Selah, show that timeline where we at now. Let me see the timeline. Let me show you the timetables of prophecy. The sub-cycle. Alright, that's the whole inhabitable period of man, from the creation of man to the halfway mark to the extinction of man. There's 48 arc cycles for the inhabitable time for men on the planet. 48 arc cycles of 3,000 year period is going to give you that 144. Half of that is 72,000 years, which is 24 arc cycles of 3,000 year periods. See, this is the timetables of prophecy. It's mathematics. See, it ain't guesswork. Everything is broken down. So we're actually in the 25th arc cycle right here. That's where we're at now. We're in that first part of what I just showed you. We're in the 25th arc cycle. So if you look at this chart, you'll see it'll say the creation of man, and then you'll see it'll say 1, and then it'll say at the arc of Wayne. So that's the name of the arc cycle, the number of the arc cycle, and the where we're at the bottom. So that's the creation of man, and then you got 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another highlight. I just got the highlights in the Oahspe that mentions it. So a highlight, of course, is our creation. Another highlight is the first era of civilization, from the creation of man to the first era of civilization. Right there. That's, 30,000 years. And that was in the arc of Nu. So from the creation of man to the first era of civilization, 30,000 years. And then the next highlight is the 17th arc cycle, which is the time of the flood or the sinking of Pan, commonly called the Dalug or the flood of waters. And that took place in the 17th arc cycle called the Ark of Noah. And that's the Noah who you think is a man, but it's the name of an arc cycle. It's a cosmological name. The false gods took it and made it into a man and gave you a false and allegory scenario that is explained in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah. But here the truth of the matter is that Noah is the name of the 17th arc cycle after the creation of man. And from the creation of man to the 17th arc cycle is 48,000 years. So from the creation of man to the flood, 48,000 years. And from the flood, the 17th arc cycle, where we're at right now in the 25th arc cycle, is another 24,000 years. And the total from the creation of man to our present time is 72,000 years, bringing you back to this right here. So we completed the first half of the inhabitable age of man on the planet, and that's 72,000 years. We got another 72,000 years on the planet before humans become extinct. See that? That's the timetables of prophecy. The Bible ain't telling you this. It's the next level shit. See that? This is the inhabitable age again. This is the same thing, but this is just broken down in the Gadol degrees. A Gadol degree is a 24,000 year period. And every Gadol degree is the temperature of the vortexian current decline. So again, you see the creation of mortals, and then in parentheses you see the inhabitable time for mortals on the earth, and then you see the extinction of mortals. And then at the top you see the same thing. The first half, 72,000 years. The second half, 72,000 years. And these Gadol periods, like I said, are 24,000 years. So 24 times 3 is 72,000 years. And that's 3 Gadol periods. So right now we're in the 97th Gadol degree. That's the vortexian temperature of the planet. Every 24,000 years, the vortexian temperature of the planet declines. It slows down. So we're moving into the 4th Gadol degree, the 96. 4 below normal, man will cease to exist, which is 94. When the Earth Gadol degree, man will cease to propagate and so become extinct as to the planet. So these are based off the timetables of prophecy. They want to talk about the Oahspe got prophecy. It has a whole chart of prophecy. It doesn't talk about a specific people or a specific area. It gives you the whole narrative of creation. from the creation of the species to the extinction of the species. See that? That's what's going on. So that's the whole. That's the half. See, that's where we at right now. That's where we at right now. This is the halfway. We got another one of these, and then boom. That's the whole inhabitable age. And that right there is just where we at. Just the first half right there. So that's a breakdown of the timetables of prophecy. And that's just dealing with, you know what I mean? That's just a small portion of the chart. That ain't the whole chart even laid out. $144 years is the inhabitable time for humans on the planet. From the creation of man to the extinction of man is 144,000 years. That's the true significance of that 144,000. Yeah, we could definitely start a Zoom, you know what I mean? I could do that on the other page, the StreamYard, because I could bring in people on there like I did last time, and we could definitely have some class. It's funny because Malachi Maccabee was touching on that. Like we should have some classes, like some lessons set up, some order, some degrees, just so people could have better know how to navigate. Like some questions and answers. Hits of vibes. Eliyahu Yeremiah. What's good, King? See you. Hits of vibes. You know what I mean? The Creator's ways is it's progression. The Creator's ways is always progression, yo. Yeah, that shit definitely deep, sis. That shit definitely deep. And that was just a small portion of the breakdown. That's not even the whole breakdown of the timetables of prophecy. So here, you know what I mean? Then Jehovah spoke to the Lord, saying, as God hath built a kingdom in Horeb, and reigned over his heaven, and over ye and your helpmates, so shall ye build kingdoms on earth, and ye shall rule over mortals in my name, teaching them of me in my everlasting kingdoms in the firmament above. In testimony of my voice receive ye this raiment of silver and gold from my archangels. See that? So these angels is taught to teach us about the heavenly kingdoms of the Creator. How are we first taught about the heavenly kingdoms of the Creator? Well, first we got to start at the rudimentary level. We got to understand the moon cycles, the sun cycles. You know what I mean? Then the constellation cycles, the 4 seasons. Starting like from there. And then after that, understanding the heavenly kingdoms. Understanding the title and ranks of angels. Who is God? Who is Lord God? Who is Lord? Who are the guardian angels? Who are the angels that receive the spirits of the dead? You see what I'm saying? The heavenly hospitals, the heavenly nurses, the heavenly factories, the heavenly colleges. All these places are set up in the heavenly kingdoms for the spirits of the dead to progress spiritually. So the Oahspe reveals all this in great detail. For the first time readers, what should they read first? Well, if you read the Oahspe, let me tell you how to read the Oahspe. If you want to get the best understanding of the Oahspe, and you want to be sharp like your boy and shit, read the Oahspe from beginning to end, straight through. And like, you got the Book of Jehovah. You read the Book of Jehovah. You read the Book of Satantes. You read the second book of the Lords, right? When you get to the book of Eighth, Son of Jehovah, it's where it's gonna the style of reading is gonna change when you get to the book of Eighth. Because the book of Eighth is when the book splits up to upper and lower. So the upper portion, see this line right here? When you see that in the book, that means the book is split. See that line? So you got the upper part and you got the lower part. You read the upper part first. So when you read it down like here, you don't go all the way down. You stop right here and then start right here. And that's how you read when the book is divided. So you come down here, you stop here, and you read in the upper part. You read the whole upper part, then you come back to the beginning of the book, and you start at the lower part. And then you read through the same way. And then when you get to the next chapter, you do the exact same thing if there's a line bridging it. That's the purpose of it. The upper book is the story of the angels. The lower book is the story of mortals on earth. So if you read the book straight through simultaneously like that, you're going to see it's going to be a chain reaction of events throughout the whole book. So by the time you get to the book of Escher down here, it may relate to something over here. That may be very significant, but you only have to catch it through the read. You know what I mean? So I done read through this shit several times. So that's why when it's time to go with certain places in the book, I can just, you know what I mean, navigate or break down whatever the storyline may be talking about. And then you'll see the purpose and reason for certain things. The purpose of why Zarathustra was raised up, because it was time for mortals to have the first holy book. Like how we perceive Moses as the first one getting the commandments from God and having a book that was from God to man. Zarathustra was the first to do that. Before Moses, before Abraham, Zarathustra was the first to get a revelation from God, clothed in the writings of mortals in a book, and to be distributed among the people. Zarathustra was the first to do that prior to Abraham, prior to Moses, when you read the Oahspe. Right, so when you read it like that, boom, you get a better understanding. You got the Fragment Patty and Return to the Beginning. Your Fragment Patty is a big book. That's a big, big book to digest. It's a lot going on in the book of Fragment Patty. Because Fragment Patty came to deliver the lower heavens and hells, the hells going on in the lower heavens, and it's very detailed about how, if you want to read about hell in detail, read the book of Fragment Patty, because it describes how they deliver hell, how they deliver these spirits that are in darkness by going in these dark realms, these dark regions of atmosphere where it's pure black, no light, and they come with fire and they come with water, and what they do is they'll put the fire in the face of the angel, and they'll use the water, and then when the angel jumps back, the angel host will grab the angel and then remove them from the place to another place and restore them in another area. So this is how they cleaning up hell, with fire and water. When I read that shit was like, yo, that shit like some shit out of a horror movie. But they cleaning up hell. That's what they got to do to clean up hell. And they cleaned that shit up too. It took them about 30, 40 days. And they cleaned up hell. They cleaned up that particular hell. Because that's just one out of many hells within the lower heavens and the earth. I was like, damn. These niggas getting busy like that? That shit deep, yo. Brother C, like, can you run a quiz a week for fun on Facebook? Yeah, we could do some quizzes, yo. Shit, don't give me no ideas, bro. I come up with some curriculums for you niggas and shit. Like this week, what we have is the spelling bee. Who can spell Oahspe backwards? You know what I mean? Yes. Fragment Patty means Japheth? Nah, that's the name of an Etherian god that came in the 21st arc cycle after the creation of man. See, for each arc cycle comes an Etherian god, so Fragment Patty was just the name of one of them. He was responsible for raising up Zarathustra around 9,000 years ago. Yes, family. Yeah, we can do the Q&As and all that, yo. See, in the book of 8th, chapter 1, it talks about the ark of Noah, where it states, in the time of the world, 24,000 years before Cosmon, the great serpent, the solar system, being in the ark of Noah in the Etherian firmament. Let me run back that picture so you can get a visual of the read. This is what's going on here. What I'm reading right here, we're in the ark of Cosmos, so it states, in the time of the world, 24,000 years before the ark of Cosmos. 24,000 years before Cosmon is the 17th arc cycle, where it says the Ark of Noah. And then what it say? The great serpent solar system being in the Ark of Noah in the Etherian firmament. See that? The Ark of Noah, the great serpent meaning the earth and this planet. So the earth was here. Let me put the earth in this. Boom. See that? That's where the earth was 24,000 years ago during the sinking of the continent of Pan. So in the book of Eighth, it states, in the time of the world 24,000 years before the Cosmon era, the great serpent being in the Ark of Noah in the Etherian heavens. See that? So it was when the earth came here is when the flood took place. It says, the earth and her heavens were in great darkness, but the spirit of Jehovah moved upon his high-raised gods, Eighth, in Etheria, to consecrate new dominion on the earth and her heavens. And then it goes into how he's going to decree the sinking of the continent of Pan. So it's during this time that Jehovah sank the continent. Yeah, so it was during this time the sinking of the continent of Pan took place. And if you read the book of Synopsis of 16 Cycles, chapter 3, verse 16, it states, now the council deliberated, and after a while caused the record of the earth and her heavens to be examined. And they discovered that the heavens of the land of Pan was beyond redemption, because of the great number of the spirits of cannibals and of the multitude of fetals. It was as if a disease in the flesh, but healed over externally, leaving the root of the disease within. So was the continent of Pan and her heavens. The redemption of the cycles remained not with her, but evil broke out forever in a new way. So Jehovah said, now will I prune the earth with her heavens. You remember when I read earlier in the book of Osiris when Jehovah said, at times I need worlds to be pruning? Let me get that real quick as a precept. Let me get that, where he says it right here. Watch this. And this is what I mean by when you read the Oahspe straight through, you can relate certain precepts once you get familiar with some of the stories. So right here it stated what? In the book of Osiris chapter 2 verse 3, fear not, O man, that I have not labored for them in the high heavens. I have worlds to be nurtured and coaxed at times, worlds to be pruned at times and commanded. See that? It said worlds to be pruned at times. And coming back to the synopsis of 16 Cycles chapter 3, verse what? Verse 17, what did Jehovah say? So Jehovah said, now will I prune the earth and her heavens. Behold, the division of Pan shall be hewn and cast beneath the waters of the ocean. Her heavens shall no longer be tenable by the spirits of destruction, for I will render the foundation thereof and scatter them in the winds of heaven. So here, the continent of Pan is going to be sunk during this time period, which is the Ark of Noah, in the 17th arc cycle after the creation of man. So that's an example of how he said he's going to prune. He has worlds to be pruned that time, and the one doing the pruning is Eighth son of Jehovah. See that? So these are examples of the timetables of prophecy. Reading the Oahspe at the time periods that certain events took place in history. So we're just not reading the Oahspe. We have charts and illustrations breaking down the timelines of history, showing where these events took place at in history. So when we read the book, we could go to the time, place in history and read from there and show you that now we're navigating at this point. We're not just vaguely speaking over here. Just read that last night. Yeah, that shit is cold. What's that? That sinking the Pan? Yo, they need to make, shit, like that movie they made of the Flood of Noah, that was some bullshit. They need to make the sinking of the continent of Pan. If you ever seen that movie, what was that movie back in the day? The Day After Tomorrow. The Day After Tomorrow. That movie was sick when they showed the waters coming through Manhattan and everything froze up. That was an illy movie, yo. I don't know if y'all seen that one, The Day After Tomorrow. Yeah, that shit is deep. Now, some things you ain't gonna get a Google research on these things. This is next level shit. Brother Selah, could you film the sinking of Pan? Could I film it? What you mean, like make a movie out that shit? I'll make a movie out. You know, I already do film. I fucking around and make my own movie. I was thinking about that too. Doing an Oahspe movie, yo. Or Oahspe short film, like how I do my miniseries. Do a miniseries on the knowledge of Oahspe, like a little nigga play like I'm Sathantes or something. Have a couple people play like they Adam and Eve and shit. I come to raise you niggas up from walking on all fours. I found another source proving who Fragapati is. You can find the name Fragapati in the Vedics and some of the Indian texts. Some of these names you could find in the Sanskrit. It's relative to that. And some of these gods had great influence in different parts of the region. You know what I mean? Like Luaman had great influence over Rome, Europe. Baal had a great influence over Canaan. You see his name there. Ashtaroth had a great influence over Mesopotamia. Different gods for different regions. You dig? The Vedic, the Sanskrit. You can find them names in there. Yes, family. So you about to bust your ass. Alright. No book of Osiris when Yahweh was talking about the world needed to be pruned. Yeah, yo. It literally means Japheth. Alright. That's not what we're dealing with. Yes, it was. So what you saying? Oh, y'all just talking in the chat. Give me 1 second, family. Let me raise the vibrations up still, yeah? But if for vibes. Hit the vibes. Yes, family, let's vibe out. Hit the vibes. Fragapati do not mean Japheth. We already explained that. Fragapati is an Etherian god. You can't do a Google research and explain something that's defined in the Oahspe. Gotta get you an Oahspe, beloved. It's a vibe. We vibing out, family. It's the vibes. Hits the vibes, yes, family. We on the dance floor with it now. We on the dance floor with it. Hits the vibes. You ain't got to swear to me, beloved. You're not telling me nothing I'm not already familiar with. This should be enlightenment for you. Keep doing your research. Read what it means from the Oahspe perspective so you can get the correct definition and not a vague definition by a Google research. It's a vibe. What you say, Trini? What you say, big man? Trinidad in the house? Yeah, man. What you say, big man? TNT in the place. Carnival vibes, soca vibes, calypso vibes, yes? Yeah, man. Carnival is sweet, yes? Right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Big up to the downtown carnival. Having a successful carnival this year. Back in Alaguan, mad in another place, yes? It's a vibes. Selah, question, why does the Bible doesn't mention the people of North America? Because the false god Anu-Hasaj, for whatever reason, left that part of the story out. Anu-Hasaj gave you Shem, Ham, and Japheth as literal people, when essentially those are allegories, mythical people he made up. In the Oahspe, they describe Shem, Ham, and Japheth as fleets of ships. And within the fleets of 34 ships, 90 souls was on each ship. And within those souls could have been the fleets of the different nationalities what make up what we think is Ham, what we think is Shem, what we think is Japheth. Shem is India. The people that made up Shem is India. From India to Pakistan, Afghanistan, all the way to Persia. All that to Mesopotamia, all that is Shem. The Babylonians, Assyrians, those are Shemites. Not descended from a person named Shem, but the fleets of ships that survived from the flood and landed in the coastal lines of India, and they migrated inland from the time 24,000 years ago. Same thing with Gautama. The Gautamites landed in Central America and migrated north and south into the regions. That's why Central America is the oldest place of history in the North Americas, because that's where the fleets landed of ships in Central America. And they migrated through Central America, through the Caribbeans, to the North and South America. Yes, family. Yes, family. You know what I mean? Oahspe vibes, yo. Oahspe vibes. I wonder if Melchizedek existed, was the leader of the fleets of Shem. Well, the Oahspe doesn't even mention Melchizedek. Melchizedek is more of a title. You know what I mean? It's more of a title than an actual person. It's like Messiah. It's like saying, I wonder if Messiah existed. You know what I mean, man? It's a Melchizedek order, the order of Melchizedek, the order of righteousness. It's more like a title, more than an actual individual. I really wonder how 8 people can populate the planet. Exactly, it's impossible. With all the animals on the boat. And it's interesting because the Oahspe doesn't even talk about no animals being saved. Whatever got wiped out, got wiped out. And if you notice, I'm going to do a lesson on this one too. What you know as the Grand Canyon and all that, that used to be filled with water. Those used to be seas. Let me push to the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon, that used to be water covering that region. And if you really pay attention, the Grand Canyon used to be an ocean, a seabed. I'm about to show you a picture. And you can even see the water erosion in it. So I'm gonna pull up a picture of the Grand Canyon to show that this used to be a sea. Oahspe shows you a picture of the continents before the flood, and it shows you a picture of the continents after the flood. And the picture it shows you of the continents before the flood, it shows you that what we know as like New Mexico, where the Grand Canyon is, all that shit used to be a sea of water. It used to be a sea of water, this shit right here. Oh shit, hold on. I gotta simplify this. I gotta have to simplify. I'll couple of things on this joker. See that? The Grand Canyon? Man, that shit used to be water. All that was underwater right there. See that? Look at the layers. Look at the water erosion. All that shit used to be underwater. Coming to the top. That shit used to be a sea of water. Oahspe talk about that. Oahspe shows that. And you can still see remnants that water was present. Pull up another picture. Pull up another picture of the Grand Canyon, show that this region was water before it dried out. It dried out after the flood. It receded after the flood. See that? Remnants of where the water used to thrive at. That water will rise all the way to the top. And all the way at the top where you see that greenery at. This shit used to be a seabed of water before the flood. After the flood, it receded back. And that shit became dry land, yo. It's another pic. Now it's a damn resort, not knowing what was there before. This is the mysteries the Oahspe talk about too. That's the dope shit. So while we looking thinking that this shit was just a desert, a cavern, nah, nigga, that shit used to be filled with water. We looking at the bottom of the goddamn sea right now. We looking at the caverns of the sea. They even found skeletons of damn whales on some of these mountains in the Grand Canyon. Shells and shit like that on the top of some of these mountains. What shells and things that you find in oceans and seas doing on the top of some of these rocks in Grand Canyon? See that? All that shit right there was water. Let me see if I can get a picture of the Oahspe where it talks about, shows a picture of Pan. The before and after. Let me see. All right, here go a picture right here. Show you. This is a picture I'm about to pull up of the continent of America, showing you how. Let me see if I can get a better picture. All right, here we go. A colored picture. Faith is, y'all know, y'all done seen this picture before. Well, let me show you what I'm talking about, how the land used to be inhabitable with water before it receded after the flood. All right, so y'all see that right there. Matter of fact, let me narrow this down. So y'all see that. Now check out this. This is a picture of a depiction of the continent before the sinking of the continent of Pan. Although it's a drawing, but it's an illustration just to show you. Now look at that. See that? Now look at America. Look at the water coming in. See that? That region where that water is, that's all the Grand Canyon, all that going all the way up. So America was split through a sea. You see what I'm saying? Look at the California side. Look at the Gulf, how it led into the North America. Look how deep it led into the North America. But that was your Grand Canyon. That was this over here. That's that. So after the flood, that shit dried out. And that's what we got as a remnant. That's what we got as a remnant. See that? That's before the flood. That's how it looked. And after the flood, it dried out. And when it dried out, it left us with this. That's what it left us with. So now we're looking at the Grand Canyon. We're looking at this. Like, oh, this shit was always a desert. Nah, you looking at an empty seabed that existed miles within the region. See that? See, these are some of the mysteries Oahspe revealed, Joe. The geography of things, how things transpired after the flood. Yeah, next level shit, right? Yeah, yo. That's what's going on with that. So pre-flood, you had a sea. After the flood, no sea. And then it's to the point you have, they created living quarters out of that. You had a lot of Egyptian monuments. You got a lot of relics over there in the Grand Canyon. After that shit receded, they made them shits living quarters. So over time, the sea levels dried up. That's interesting. You can tell by the residue of the sea salt on the walls. Exactly. If you look at the walls of the Grand Canyon, you can see that it used to be water. Like you said, the brother said you can see the residue. See if I can pull the picture up again. See that? You can clearly see that water existed there. The same thing they used to say with the Sphinx. Like the Sphinx had rain residue on it. You can see the residue of the water. See that? Look at that. And keep in mind, this is 25,000 years ago. So it's been dry like this for 25,000, 24,000 years. What used to be inhabited with water and sea life and marine life, all gone. And they found, let me see if I can pull that up. Hold on. Because they found fossils and seashells at the Grand Canyon. It says Grand Canyon fossils be discovered. Now these are things you find in the ocean. Let me show you. Let me show you evidence of marine life in the Grand Canyon that they got. They even got fossils of things they don't even know. Let me pull up this first one. Yeah, they was got down. That was a damn ocean, and they got evidence of marine life in that joint. So here go with evidence of some damn seashells that they found around the Grand Canyon. That's a seashell. Where do you find seashells at? At the beach, in the sea of water, in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? So that's evidence of seashells in the regions of the Grand Canyon. See those archaeologists that be investigating over there? They came across this shit like, what are seashells doing here? Well, the evidence showed it was a seabed. We looking at the top, and we looking straight at the caverns of which once was a sea. Yeah, the Grand Canyon used to be a sea, beloved. More evidence. There go more evidence right there. More evidence of seashells found in the Grand Canyon regions, showing evidence of marine life. Yeah, they got evidence of a lot of things that they don't found in the Grand Canyons. Yes, it's a vibes, family. 'Cause it's a vibe. real. It's real, family. Evidence of these things exists, showing and proving that what was once a sea of water is now a desert, showing you earth changes, showing you environmental changes just based off that flood alone. So 25,000 years, so from the creation of man, leading up to the flood, you had a sea of water there. That sea of water there existed for 50,000 years from the creation of man to where it's at now. 25,000 years since it's been a dry desert, barren waste. Word up. Does the Oahspe talk about dinosaurs? Not necessarily, no. But it does reference the time where, like, you know, these things existed in the Cosmogony and Prophecy. Just a little briefing where it touch on that. But yeah, there was definitely big animals during these times, and a lot of these animals existed pre-flood, pre-diluvian, pre-sinking of Pan. Like if you look at the movies like Rings of Fire with the little hobbits and like that pre-diluvian feel, a lot of those things was pre-flood. You know what I mean? The little hobbits was running around, and those were like the Irons, the little people and things of that nature. And you had the goblins and these monstrous looking people. Those were like the drunks and some of the people that, because man looked at more animalistic in nature prior to him looking how he looked now, the evolution of human beings, you know what I mean? So definitely animals and things grew larger in the beginning. Things definitely grew larger, because it even talks about how man grew to be very large men, you know what I mean? Very large men, twice the size of men this day. Zarathustra was the size of 3 ordinary men, so the animals and serpents definitely grew at a large size, you know what I mean? Dinosaurs, most definitely. These things existed, but due to certain cataclysms of the earth, these things died off. Just like the flood. The flood killed off a lot of the flood. Just think about the animals that existed on the continent of Pan that was unique to that continent. Because you got certain animals that are unique to its continent. Like we got what? We got the bull, the buffalo bill. That's something that's primitive to America. But then Africa got, you know, we got the lion, the giraffe. You know what I mean? So each country got its native indigenous animals that go with that country or continent. So the continent of Pan would have had some animals that we don't even know about because it got destroyed. If a piece of that continent was to pop up out the Pacific intact with a city and it's just residue, oh man, that'll be the day right there. Giant snakes that wraps around Antarctica. You talking about Leviathan? Big up to the family, yeah. Let's vibe for a second. Let's vibe into the cosmos for a second. Cause it's a vibes. Hits of vibes.